In Game 2, the Oklahoma City Thunder led for most of the game and dominated the Pacers to tie the series at 1 game apiece. And just like most nights, it was their defense that really set the tone coming into the series. The Thunder had never faced an offense like Indiana's one that plays so fast with a ton of movement. But despite the series being tied at a game apiece, the Thunder defense has generally had the edge and forced the Pacers into really rushed decisions, and part of that is because they figured out everything the Pacers were trying to run. I want to first start with the inbound plays, because it's one of the few times where a team can design something to get organized, but on this one, they know Siakam's cutting. So Shai takes him, jupe undercuts Nesmith's path to the corner. Now he continues to run his route, but Haliburton throws it towards the backcourt, so Turner has to save it after all that chaos. Nembhard settles with a basic pick and roll and misses. The jumper, just a few minutes later, the Pacers have another chance to set up an action. But Case Wallace isn't guarding the inbounder because he knows Haliburton is using an elevator screen. He cuts that off, so Turner then has to make a play, off the dribble. And that's a shot the Thunder are going to live with, so because the Thunder saw that coming, the Pacers then have a nice disguise. McConnell comes out for the ball, but Haliburton cuts down to the paint. Caruso is on his top side to stop a potential layup. But that gives Harley a head start on this elevator screen. Caruso just runs right through it, though, and pressures Hallie up top, who steps on the backcourt line because the Thunder were just blowing up all of the Pacers. Plays they then resorted to just a simple pick and roll. And again, the Pacers couldn't get a good shot. All of this is an encapsulation of what has happened for most of the series so far. Besides the fourth quarter in Game 1, the Pacers haven't looked comfortable against the Thunder's horizontal speed. Not only is OKC sniffing out their actions, but Indiana's also struggled to gauge just how far and fast this defense can cover. In particular, Indiana committed 19 turnovers in that first half in Game 1 because they would try to create mismatches and then get the ball inside. But the Thunder's philosophy is to swarm on the pass, which is how they create these turnovers. One thing the Pacers could have done better was sealing their own matchups. For example, they set up a really nice cut for Nesmith, but instead of occupying the paint by sealing Shai off, he runs to a spot, and that allows the Thunder to come over and strip him. So in Game 2, the Pacers made that part of their offensive game plan primarily with Pascal Siakam, but the Thunder were ready for it as they fronted him at all costs. So everything had to be ran on the perimeter next time down. Siakam does have Wiggins sealed, but the Pacers can't get it to him. He tries sealing on the other side then, and the ball swung to TJ McConnell, who then settles for a 3 now. During the timeout, Haliburton came up to him and says, "Keep stealing, just keep doing it. I'll get it to you." Come on, so out of the timeout. They try to set up that seal, Nembhard gets the ball, and Mather clears out the left side. But because J-Dub knows it's a one-on-one, he fronts Siakam to make that pass difficult. Siakam then aborts and gets the ball for a perimeter ISO, and that's another play that's blown up. So a few minutes later, the Pacers tried setting up another play to get Siakam the ball. They run a pick and roll to create a switch, and then throw it to Turner as the hub. Now Siakam looks wide open, especially because Shai is letting Siakam get inside position, but that's a bait. Because Dort is ready to help and creates that turnover, another way you can tell if the Thunder knew something was when they intentionally switch matchups. For example, on this inbound, Caruso says, "I got Siakam." Now, it doesn't seem weird in theory, but when you see the play, it's Haliburton who's coming off the screens, and Caruso, who was on Siakam, can now easily switch onto Harley and then contest his shot. Now the Pacers do get another possession, which creates another chance for an inbound play. And this time notice that Caruso is now on Haliburton. That's because they know how's coming up to use the screens. So Caruso slows him down, and he has to kick that out for a contested 3 both. Of those plays were for Haliburton, but Caruso was on different matchups in order to eventually affect Hallie on both plays. Speaking of Harley, a lot of talk about him has been about his very passive nature in both games, as mentioned very briefly. In our last video, the Thunder defense is really not a good matchup for his game. No one really wants to face the Thunder defense, but for Haliburton in particular, he's not as threatening to the Thunder defense because he's not comfortable working. In traffic, when he feels the slightest of help coming, his instinct is to get the ball out. And it's hard to create real advantages when the Thunder moves so fast, when Halloran is not at his best. The Pacers' offense does struggle, and it's not that he necessarily needs to shoot the ball more, but he needs to take more command of the offense. As you've seen in this video, a lot of what the Pacers wanted to do was taken away, meaning it's up to Harley, who's a really smart player, to make sure everyone's in the right spots and knows what to do in Game 2. The Pacers' offense looked out of sorts and atypical of their identity. They were out of rhythm, either trying to play way too fast or way too slow. When they had open looks, they were slow to shoot them and put it on the floor instead. And it's hard to create another good look against the Thunder once you give them a chance to recover. I thought they were impatient as well by trying to throw long passes that were prone to getting picked off. And when they did have matchups that they could try and throw to, they decided to drive it instead and take inefficient long twos. Now at the end of Game 2, Haliburton did get more aggressive. When there was an opening, he went to the pull-up jumper and knocked down a few shots, and I think it will be really important for him to seek these shots out because that's when he's probably going to be the most open. But for the first time this postseason, the Pacers' offense may need to tweak. Their approach, the team that has run other teams out of the gym, is now facing a squad that can really compete with their speed. The team that also loves to pass is now facing a squad that's always looking a ball hawk. So, for at least one game there was no magical comeback as the Thunder defense clamped down for the entire game. And with the series shifting to Indiana, it's up to the Pacers to make the next move. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you like, you can also support me on these platforms. Appreciate all the love, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.